Well, Razorback fans, Adou Thiero is staying in the NBA draft, but doesn't seem like anybody else is. How big of a problem is it? Well, let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday as we're getting closer to the regionals starting up. But today we're going to talk some football, honestly, a good bit of it with SEC meetings going on. We're going to get into the Razorback class being rated pretty low for 2026, as well as the 9-game compared to 8-game SEC schedule, conference schedule that everyone is talking about down there at SEC meetings. But I wanted to open up the show today talking about Adou Thiero announcing that he will be staying in the NBA draft. It's not surprising at all. I know that this is something that people were hopeful for, and even I was one of them, because let's be honest, in this modern day of college sports, but especially college basketball, we're seeing more players find ways to stay into college because of NIL, because of deals, because of whatever. And even the big time players that feel like you're guaranteed or should be guaranteed draft picks, if they move on into the element of going to the draft, they can immediately put their name back out of it. Like it's all set up for them to make their decisions and to give them options on what exactly they want to do. But it was made known, and I guess it was yesterday around 2 o'clock, roughly 2:30 in the afternoon, that he was going to be staying. Now, let me say this about Adou Thiero. Adou Thiero was a great player to watch, and he was really important and really crucial to Arkansas and to what they did this past year. He led the team in scoring. I know he dealt with injury, but he was such a great player, being able to do many different things. He could play big, he could play small, he could do all of those things. And he was just a really great athlete and a really great player. And I definitely would have preferred him to be on Arkansas' roster this upcoming season than not. But instead, he's going to be moving on. And you wish him nothing but the best of luck, really. It's kind of the one thing that comes about whenever this was announced, that there's Arkansas fans and Kentucky fans kind of united in that, where they want to wish him nothing but the best of luck. But it's kind of masked, or at least some fans may look at this not in the same light that they maybe should, because yesterday also had some key players decide that they are leaving the NBA draft to go back to college. And a few of those key players are in your own conference. Auburn had it, Kentucky had it, and everything. And Arkansas fans felt like, okay, well, man, that sucks, because we would have liked to have had one of those. What did they do? What did we not do? Well, now what do? They got all these key pieces back, or they added these key pieces. Do we have enough? It's a balancing act that is extremely tough, that I believe Razorback fans struggle with. And I get it. It's not something that I'm getting upset with any Razorback fan for feeling this way, but it is a tough thing to balance, because you feel confident with your team. I did this podcast, man, I don't even know how many it's all run together, but here recently, about how I really like the team where it stands with Carter Knox when it was announced that he was coming back. I was like, hey, if this is the roster, I like it. And I have not changed on that. I still believe it. I felt like Adou Thiero was gone the entire time. I think everybody did. But it's because of the pomp and the circumstance and the excitement and the energy and the things that go around on social media, that people are like, well, those teams are having fun. I want to have fun too. I want to have fun. Everyone's talking about this and that and all the others. I want to be a part of that. I get it. You want to win the offseason. And anybody that says, well, we'd rather win the season than the offseason. Yeah, but I'd rather win both. You can win both. And I think there's something to be said about winning the offseason. It gives you that much more excitement. It gives you that much more energy. And it gives you that much more just excitement and straight momentum heading into the season. But but I think Arkansas will have that for one. But when you have the other teams that are feeling that way, you start to wonder, okay, so did we do something wrong here? Did we miss out on somebody? Are we missing out on certain players? Does Cal lose it? You just start second guessing everything. I'm not going to second guess anything, folks. Is there ways or players that you could have added that would have made me feel better? Of course. Could you go out there and find somebody? I don't know who it'd be, but if you found somebody that was a big time player and they added them, would that be something I'd like? Yeah, I think so. I think most Razorback fans would. But it's a matter of trust. I keep saying I trust in John Calipari. I trust in him that this is the roster that he wants. I trust in him that he has all that he needs to compete for a national championship. I trust in him that he did the work. He didn't get worked over by any other schools or any other programs or anything and players that he wanted or didn't want. I believe he got who he wanted. Now, is it going to be enough? Let's hope. But I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. I'm not anything like that. It's just a matter of, do you trust in your coach? Do you trust in the culture? Do you trust in everything that he's set himself up to do? And I'll admit, last year with Cal, I was all excited about when he came in. And when the struggles happened and Arkansas was at 1-6 and they haven't really looked good, I never wavered on him still being able to coach. Because I'll never forget on Feinbaum. I went on Feinbaum before the Kentucky game, and Paul asked me about, hey, do you believe Arkansas and John Calipari thinks, can he still coach or has he lost it? And I even said then, when things were as low as you could be, he's like, no, I still believe there's greatness in him. It's hard to have any weapons to use when people are arguing that, but I still think he has greatness left in him. And I still believe that with Cal, and I think he proved it as the season went on. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for it. But the rest of college basketball seems to be so different than what it was here. And I'm talking about major college basketball, these other teams. Like Arkansas did not do anything really just over the top, crazy, dramatic, got your panties in a twist or got you fired up or anything like. There was no big box office moments. There were some solid ones. Getting Malik Ewan was big. Getting Nick Pringle was big. Getting the recruiting class that you signed. Getting Carter Knox to return. Like all these things are good things, and I'm not downplaying them. But when you compare it to what, say, maybe some other schools did, or even what Arkansas did a year ago when they got a Nelly Davis, when they got a Jonas Adou, when they got those Kentucky guys to transfer and everything alongside with that, it's just a weird feeling where you're feeling good, but then it just doesn't feel like much has changed in as far as the energy. Is it good? Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's all good. Hopefully everybody's excited and part of the team and feels like this could be something that could win at a high level. Hopefully John Calipari feels that way about his team. I love coaching this team. Hope he feels the same way. But I just can't help but think that this is what Cal wants. This is what the roster is that he wants. And until proven otherwise, I'm going to trust in him and believe in him and think that it's going to work out okay. Think it's going to be great. Until I don't have no reason to believe otherwise. So because I've had a lot of Kentucky fans, of course, come at me, which, man, they are obsessed. I just cannot. I laugh so hard at it. I can't post anything that has to deal with anything that might be considered part of Kentucky without somebody saying something. And also, shout out to Joe Tipton of On 3. He always tags me in any announcement that happens for Arkansas. And every time I do, I just see Kentucky fans littering it. So they just get after it. But it's great, though. It's great for the rivalry. It's great for college basketball. It's great. But I think that there is going to be some success this season in a much different way than what we saw last year. I think you're going to see a team that gets it going earlier. I think you're going to see a team that's going to mold and fit a lot better earlier. I think you're going to have, Lord willing, no injuries. But I think you're also going to have some true freshmen that come in that aren't going to feel like left out or feel different or feel on the outside looking in. They're going to fit right in. I think that the amount of experience and older guys that you have, because if you think about it, guys, you have Trevor Brazil, who's been here for 8 years, it seems like, but you have him. You got Pringle and Ewan, who are older guys. You got DJ Wagner, who's a junior, third-year player this year. I mean, you have some real, true, legitimate veteran experience mixed with the freshmen of the talent and the raw abilities that they have. And I don't know. I just look at it and I feel good. Feel great. And if Adou Thiero was going to be a part of that, I'd feel even better. But it's just like icing on a cake, Of course, I don't know. Some of you may love the icing more than anything. Actually, that's a terrible example because I'm one of those people that love the icing more than the cake. You know what I'm saying, though. It would just be the little bit on top that makes it a little better, but doesn't make or break it. It doesn't make it to where it's like, well, if you have to have the icing on the cake, then it's not really a good cake. If you have to have steak sauce on your steak, it's probably not a very good steak. That's how I felt about with Adou Thiero. It would add a little something to it. But I still feel just fine with this Razorback basketball team, who they have, how they have them, and what they're going to be doing and trying to accomplish. So, does that make you feel any better? Probably not, but I tried, right? I tried. I'm ever the optimist. I'm the fanboy. I'm the homer. Of course, these days it doesn't feel like as much, but speaking of, we're going to talk some Razorback football. And I saw a tweet that really stood out to me and something that was really fascinating to me about Arkansas in the upcoming class and why it maybe is a little unfair to hate on this particular stat. We'll talk about it. So stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, the NBA playoffs are in full swing and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. When it looks like all these different players are going to be performing at a certain level, get in on it. Start betting on them. If you have that confidence in them, think they're going to go for a triple-double, think you're going to go for a certain amount of points, whatever it is, put it together. Do the live prop bets in mid-game and see how the action unfolds. And the best thing about it, if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up because you can head to FanDuel.com right now and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So I wanted to discuss this particular tweet that I saw from, I got to make sure I get this right because I don't want to mess it up. Someone's going to get mad at me. But Jacob Scott Davis, he tweeted out this stat and I got tagged in it as a lot of people did. And it's dealing with Arkansas football. And it says Arkansas football's average player rating in the 2026 class is 87.18. That's dead last in the SEC, but good enough for third in the Sun Belt. Yeesh. Okay. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not hating on Jacob Scott Davis for putting this tweet out. It's a stat, and it's a factual stat. So, anybody that's trying to take a certain view on that particular tweet or that particular stat, I don't really care about that much. But when I looked at this, I saw it and I'm like, man, yeah, that is pretty rough. But I think there's a lot of elements that go into it. For instance, high school recruiting is not as important as it used to be. It really isn't. That's not a cop-out answer. It's not an excuse. It's just not. I mean, how many players on this year's Arkansas Razorback football team, which I know you guys are going to be sarcastic about it, but truly, which one of these players or how many of these players came on as freshmen at Arkansas and are entering into year 2 or 3, and they've stayed at Arkansas and they developed, and it's all going great? I mean, Braylon Russell's one, but the list is very short. Because a lot of times, if you get really talented freshmen in, they transfer out. Or if you need a certain position to be addressed and addressed immediately, you go to the transfer portal and get somebody else. So the high school recruiting element of it, is it important? Yes, I'm not saying it's not important, but it's not as important as it once was. Arkansas has had struggles recruiting the high school ranks anyways. And I've been on record in saying this many times. If Arkansas wants to be able to be great at football and find ways to be consistently great at football, they just need to work the portal like nobody's business. You're just not going to get those high-level high school recruits. And if you are, more often than not, folks, true freshmen are not ready to play. They're not just ready to go right into the SEC and play at a high level. Very, very few can accomplish that. Now, if you can get some that you can develop and everything, that's great. But, geez, the great players that you've gotten out of high school, they've all left. You know, we've mentioned it. This past year, almost all of them. Think about Luke Haas, left. Jalen Braxton, left. Patrick Kudas, left. Those are players that you got straight out of high school, highly recruited guys, and they left. So I think the most important thing is to go all in on the transfer portal. So that's my first thing about this. It doesn't bother me as much. Like, yeah, I'd like to have the rankings be a lot higher than third in the Sun Belt, but it's not as bothersome. But what this is, and really what it all encompasses, is a matter of, do they have the support at the University of Arkansas? Does the football team have the support financially, via NIL and everything, to recruit at the highest level? And I don't really think they do, to be honest. I feel sorry for Sam Pittman and his staff. I really do. Because I just don't think that they've been dealt a very fair hand. I don't think that they have been set up for the success that they need in order to compete at the highest level and compete in the SEC. And if you need any sort of evidence of this, I mean, just look at the portal this past year and look at the high school classes. I feel like you got to be good in one of them. You know, you got to be good to great in one of them. It'd be nice to be great in both, because there's a lot of teams that are. You know, those big dogs, they're always going to be good in both. The Texases, the Georgias, the LSUs, they're going to be good in both. But at Arkansas, you have to be good at least one. I feel like it's the transfer portal. But as it shows right now, it's not really either of them. So how can you set yourself up for success? How can you, as a coaching staff, be able to go out and perform your job at the highest level and do the best you can if you're not being able to have a higher rating than this? It all comes down to NIL. I don't think Sam Pittman's a bad recruiter. I don't think any of his staff are bad recruiters. I don't buy that for a second. But we know what the ultimate recruiting pitch is. We know what the number one recruiting pitch is. Money. NIL. And at least the idea that you are a school that's going to provide it and to provide that incentive. And they just haven't. They haven't done it. Not to the level it should be done at. And so I think back to like the Madden situation with him, and it was like $500,000 or whatever it was. Like, how many other players are getting that? Are any players getting that? Was he kind of the exception to the rule, whatever it was? I don't really know. But my point is that with this particular deal, with the ratings and all of that, I'm not somebody that's going to attack Sam Pittman on this and critique him and criticize him for it, or the coaching staff. I actually am in support of them for this, because I think stay with me on this. I actually think Sam Pittman and his staff, it's a good enough coaching staff that they can compete and be successful if they had the support to get great players to come in. Now, I know that's easy to say, like, duh. But I think the coaching staff's good enough to where if they had the type of support that other SEC schools do, yeah, I believe Arkansas could get plenty of these players and be a team that's competing for a lot of things. It's not Sam Pittman's perfect. He's not a perfect coach. He's made a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of things that I think about him that I'm not a fan of when it comes to in-game management, decision-making, all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just talking about the players themselves. I feel like if they were set up for more success by the support system that they seem to be lacking in, it wouldn't be as bad as what something like this is made out to be. That's all I'm saying. But we will talk about something that might happen in the SEC. 8 games, 9 games. What do coaches want in the SEC? Well, stay with us. We'll talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast coming up next. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. The hot topic of discussion down at SEC meetings has been coaches from the SEC wanting to go to 9 games in conference play and even possibly add a contract or an agreement with the Big Ten where you have 9 SEC games and then 1 game against a Big Ten team. And almost be like the SEC Big Ten Challenge, where all the SEC teams would play a Big Ten team and vice versa. So, I have my thoughts on that. I think in theory it would be cool because, hey, it'd be kind of cool to play a team like Michigan, like they should have, or a team like USC, Washington, Nebraska, just random teams like that you don't get to play very often. I think there's an element of that, but also don't want to feel tied down to playing just one team from one conference, or one conference at least each and every year. But the 9-game SEC schedule, I'm in favor of, man. I'm in favor of it. And that's nothing against the small schools, because I know the small schools need it. But it's just not the same anymore. It's a totally different thing. I'd rather be able to go to games. I'm sure you as a season ticket holder, of course, that probably means they're going to jack up the prices, but say, let's just play the fun game and they're not. But as a season ticket holder, I'm sure you would rather have tickets that you buy for the year where the home games is against an SEC team or at least a big team every game. Well, it's like, okay, well, here's your 7 home games. Well, 3 of them is going to be against nonsensical non-conference opponents. And then 1 of them is going to be against a terrible SEC team. And then that gives you 2. Like, no one wants that. I don't want that. So I'd be in favor of it. I don't know if it's going to happen. This whole thing with college football and the changes that it's going through when it comes to scheduling, when it comes to conferences, when it comes to everyone being on the same page or not, that's the problem. Nobody's on the same page. Everybody's just going different directions all at once, and it's frustrating. So I'm hoping it comes to an end here soon. I'm hoping it gets resolved. I am going to get excited about football, but when it comes to scheduling, give me all of the great games that you can get. Give me more SEC games. Give me more SEC matchups. Give me more big games. That's what I want to see. That's what everybody wants to see all the time. Make it a lot better, and I think people would definitely go all out when it comes to home fields and stadiums and all that good stuff. So let's make that happen, whatever it takes. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. Keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.